what if we had like a magic ball that will let us know what will happen after the pandemic, and we were having the tools to rebuild and recreate a completely whole new world? Well, those are not the questions that we're talking, but it very, very close. We have an amazing woman today that is full of a deep joy that is touchable. So Cristina brought us a friend of her to this amazing conversation. So she's better in order to introduce you to her.
Mhm. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Today is with us Reverend Ginny Brown. Ginny
Yes.
Brown is a psychic and mystic and a wonderful person that brings in the conversation a lot of her wisdom. We have enjoyed and our minds and our hearts expanded. And I hope it will do the same to you guys because
Yeah.
there's like so much to take from this conversation. So, here with you and with us, Reverend Ginny Brown.
A spoiler, you're gonna end up being a little bit more grounded. So stick to the end and don't forget to subscribe and like, because that will help us a ton.
Totally. Please do. Ginny is a psychic, mystical warrior, I would say. And yes, and I wanted to bring you here because we love conversations, and right now we are, in these times of like, rebuilding the pandemic, rebuilding ourselves, rebuilding like many things. It's kind of like the paradigm has changed, and we would like to have a conversation, be the three of us, about how do you see, as a psychic, as or how you tune in, or how you experience what is, what the moment is calling for us,
Mm.
in this rebuilding. If there's like some like an emergent thing that you notice, in the field, or want to talk something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this world offers us such a beautiful experience of duality. And I think coronavirus and this pandemic, we got to experience probably the most intense dual experience a spirit can feel, which is togetherness, the importance of togetherness and at oneness, and also separateness. And I feel like this was the big lesson for us to work with and take away from during this pandemic. And so to kind of like expand on that a little bit, it was, really what happens to one person, one man in China, happens to all of us. And if we really consider that, the effect of that, like if I am, mean to one person on the street, I'm actually being mean to myself and everyone. Is to really feel the connection that we are truly all, one being, and what affects one of us affects all of us. And so that togetherness, really, I think it is what this virus was here to teach us, on a spirit and individual level. And we learn the value of togetherness when we're separate, right?
Mhm.
When we're pulled away from the people we love, or we're pulled away from these experiences, it's in that longing that our desire, and empathy and things like that really develop. And so to me, it was a really expansive time to connect and to find out what that really means, and to adjust, right? Like to adjust, what I buy, or the way that I act, or, to really kind of go deep into the personal experience and see what there was to change and to become more conscious of.
Mhm.
Mm.
So the people that you work with,
Uh-huh.
as you as a provider. Okay. Do you see a kind of like I don't want to say a trend, but there is a palpable feeling in the consciousness that it is kind of like the stories, how we built these stories in the last 100 years, probably, or 300 years or 1,000 years ago, are no longer working. However, it forces us at some level to go deep into the past, bring back what it worth to keep as something essential, and reconstruct something completely new, adapted to this world that we are going to start facing, because I don't think it's even here yet, in a way, so can you feel that? Can you see that in the people you're working with, that reshaping or rebuilding have started?
Oh, 100%. And I think you said it really beautifully. That karma, the law of karma, what it does is it helps us to go into a lesson and really pull out of it or cultivate the lesson that we were supposed to learn. Sometimes we go into a lesson and we're like, oh, it's means that, I shouldn't date this kind of person, or we take the wrong thing from it, or we feel victimized. And this time really helped us to look at things from a different perspective, to look at, like, how is this good for the earth, right? Or how is this good for the individual? How is this good for my relationships that were, either pushed really tightly together or, pulled apart? And so I think it's been a really spectacular time to see how people are completing karma, and finding that the reason they were in the lesson as a growth point, not feeling held back or victimized by the experiences they've had. So absolutely, I totally agree. And I think it's been a lot about relationships this year, about our human relationships, our relationship to the earth. I'm also a Libra, so everything is about relationships to me in general. But, I think it's really kind of kicked up the dust around what's important to us, and, our relationships and what we want to cultivate as a collective.
And when you're saying that, I have a strong, and Yolanda too, group of friends. I mean, beautiful friends, spiritual friends, in an area that they're like a little bit isolated, and this is where, for me, what is a little with your conversation of like, yeah, this is about relationships, and at the same time there's a lot of people that spiritual people that I know, that these relationships that they chose to take sides in the to take sides in a way that is like, we are a family here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We are a family. It's like this division. So this is what I'm seeing here about, yeah, like Yolanda said, like, it's not reconstruction and reconstructing this humanity that we are into, but it still is like there's all these like places that they don't want to change. No. And it's like a little kid, when you don't want to change, like you say, I like, they rebel and they just go against, and there's like this tension. That's how I see it. No, there's like this tension of like the sides taking sides, and this is what is like for me, like, wow. I wouldn't even think that spiritual people, they're like so divided, like what we call spiritual people, New Era, whatever, they're so divided. And it's not, don't you like look at, our oneness, I mean, and the opportunity of this. And this, for me, what it boggles my mind, that this morning I was contemplating about like, wow, I'm so sad that I have, my friends in this division, and then I go like, okay, this is an opportunity for me instead of being like what you were saying here, no, the victim of my friends like this and me like that, of like really like bridging that, like connecting, go towards instead of like pulling, because it really, I feel like pulling, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So you feel like pull out, but it's like, wow, this is the tension. Feels like this is the tension of evolution, and
Yes.
we are in a intense, for me this is like an intense fucking tension of evolution. No, don't you think, Yolanda? It's like, what the
Totally,
fuck?
totally, totally. I mean, my world is upside down these days. And
Like,
in this morning, I was contemplating because it has, as you were saying, Ginny, it has to do a lot with relationships. I mean, it's amazing this year. It's about relationship with family, with friends, my relationship with what I consider home, my relationship with what I consider who I am. Or it is like, oh, so in a way, I feel this energy that Cristina was saying about, okay, it is time to not follow anyone anymore, not listen to anybody anymore. And how do I find my way in
Uh-huh.
in order to discover who I am? I feel that I even have reached that point in all these years that I'm living here, so this is another opportunity of COVID-19, I guess.
For sure. Well, truth is who we are is an evolution. Like I don't think we'll ever find that one arrival point of feeling like, this is who I am, because God and the universe are constantly expanding, and so are we, right? And that, as that consciousness expands, our truth expands. And like when sides get divided, it's because we're fixed in judgment and our perception. And it's, we can't help but to perceive and project. So our reality kind of gets based around that. And it's important, as spiritual people, to start to whenever you feel that fixed mindset or even a rival point of this is who I am, I think it's a good practice to end that with a question mark, right? This is who I am, so that you can continue to evolve outside of the place you've arrived to, and can continue to expand with that, because that division, the division is a part of our evolution. You said that beautifully. It's like that helps us. If we all agreed on the same thing all the time, there would be no growth. There wouldn't be enough tension for us to challenge our thinking or to challenge our way of doing something. We need it. And, this world is dual. We're going to experience both sides of everything in order to become whole, and that wholeness is our goal. But it's not a complete sentence, right? Like it's a place where we kind of continue to get to explore and evolve what we become. I think about like how we see the world. At one point we saw the world as flat, right? And now we see the world as round, or it's continuing to evolve how we understand our place on this planet, and what it is and what it means in the scope of things. And the less we come to those like finite factual things, those are very egotistical, the more opportunity we have for spirit to show us deeper and deeper into ourselves.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just thinking about this deconstruction of of how we perceive the world, kind of like this friction of identification of like, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. No, I am you're good, you're bad, like the polarities too. And that kind of friction of us as a spirit, we are a spirit, and then living the body, living the life of humanity. And humanity, has the polarizations and has things in the middle too. But the suffering of us, of like identification with one thing or another, is not now. I think this pandemic has been showing us a lot of that is like, it's calling for us to see our inner world in a different, like, to really be contact with our inner world and see the world different. That this identification, it can fall in any moment. It changes. It's nothing permanent, of course, we know, but so much of our life is like, and now it's like, and they're like, no, you need to be this way, So yeah, I mean, that's what I would be thinking about.
that identity is just, it's a part of us looking for a home, right? It's looking for something safe to expand within, right? Or to know itself. And sometimes it feels desperate, right? Like when we, if we take on the identity of a mother, right? It's like, and our children grow up. It's like, then we feel a grasping to that identity, or a grasping to a place where we feel safe in knowing what our role is. Because I think a big confusion point for spirits on the planet is like, what am I here for? What is my purpose? And so we look for that inside an identity. And really, that's just a school we're in. When we're mothering, we're in the school of mothering. When we're counseling, we're in the school of counseling, but it doesn't identify you as spirit.
Yeah.
You're so much more beyond that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that is what I was saying before about is forcing us to go, forcing in a gentle, and sometimes it is traumatic, but it's traumatic for what we know, but it's gentle for what it can be, So in a way, it is like, it's helping us to remember that we can trust, and what we can be as an identity is part of the old news as well, right? And everything that is new, it is like helping us to trust more, like Cristina and I, we're reading right now, I think the same book right now, and for me, it reminded me, like, again and again, this lesson: how can I take the I out of the way, the ego out of the way, leave it there for a little while, all that identification that in this case is Yolanda, Yolanda is like this, her world is like this. How can I take it away, put it aside? It's not going to go anywhere. We can leave it there and allow this emerging force that is always there, and to trust that. So I mean, and I feel that a lot of people are with me in this, like, it's kind of like we have to go down, sometimes break who we are, break on the floor to allow something to come through. And it's necessary. It's necessary. Not the tears, because I don't feel there's a lot of tears. It's more like confusion, we feel lost, I think, is more than anything, because we are kind of like rebuilding who are we going to be for the next 20 years, 100 years, I don't know. This morning I was texting Cristina about that, like, I feel that it is necessary where I'm at, because even though it's not very gentle, but it is uplifting in other ways. It is like, oh, something new is kind of bubbling up little by little. And I feel like that as a collective, not only I put myself in the example, but I feel like we are like that right now.
For sure. Trust is a huge theme.
Yeah.
Huge. And I think we look at trust wrong. Like we look at, can I trust this situation versus trusting yourself inside the situation? And that's where we really, it shows us almost immediately where we need to grow, is when if I don't feel trusting of a person, it's because I don't trust myself around that person. Like maybe I'm sensitive to people who ask me for things, right? And if they are, they have a taking sort of mentality, right? They have no problem asking. I don't trust that I will say no to them, right? My problem is with me.
Yeah.
And like,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of concepts that we have them wrong.
straighten it out on the show.
A lot of- it was interesting when that trust is a big topic, is a big thing. I love it. The more like for me is like even now I'm like tapping into more than like ideas or thoughts or whatever. It's just like about the energy of like trust. It's like the openness. It's like the kind of like for me it feels like diving into like a lake or something, it's like trust. Can I trust? Can I like go deep into the waters? This is for me trust. These days I experience it like this. And one thing that I wanted to say is that when we were talking about this thing that we are talking, this construction of the pandemic. There's a lot of things that has been that is pushing us and being into this constructive mode of the ways that we were used to be. And for me, when I think about that too, is like, yeah, I don't know the future, what the future is gonna come, because really the ideas of like I can't project what is gonna I cannot project me in 20 years or what is gonna happen or how I'm gonna be or in 2 or in 1. I feel like this is a really like turning structures for me of the structures of seeing the world, and the world wants to be seen in a different way. The world wants to be seen like in my perception much bigger than I used to. It's like it's just and for that the labels and their they used to be, or it was like this, or it's that are dropping. And that is so like it's a new information, and it's a new information that I really don't I have I cannot say more than that. That is, it feels to me really new. And of course, the mind wants to grab it and put it in a place that is not there. So it's really uncomfortable. Many times it is very uncomfortable. It's like, okay, and I trust, because this is the movement, and it feels also that the trust to me is like almost like the womb, like going to the womb of creation, that you go into this place that is trust, that you just like, there's nothing else you can do. You have to trust because the other way is what? It's not sustainable anymore. It's not. So anyway, this is quite what for me is happening in the field these days. It's like, okay, it's just I'm just going. I'm learning how to pray in a different way. I usually pray like quiet in my side and for myself, and now I'm like, speak it out,
Yeah.
say it. It's like, oh, can I bring this voice out? Bring it out, and so yeah, inspire also about the book that Yolanda and I were reading too. Well, is what is the name? We put it in the thing. Is It's Not Your Money. It's a beautiful book by Tasha something. So it talks about a lot about prayers and it's super inspiring to tap into this trust, you know, trust frequency, trans energy, trans awareness,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prayer has a lot to do with surrender, whether it's surrendering and asking for help, or surrendering something that feels outside of our control, right? And asking. And, you know, to me, when the heart opens, whether it feels like it's through a tragedy or trauma or, any type of suffering, falling in love can feel, can open the heart. But anytime that space gets to open, it also releases out of it things that it's been holding on to, past time griefs or traumas and things like that that are holding space in the heart chakra and not enabling you to love and trust and manifest in the way that you want to. And so those moments where we experience loss or tragedy, separation, pain, it's a tremendous opportunity to love, trust, and manifest deeper if you go into it with the right attitude, and surrender to that heart opening, which I find through prayer. It really helps me to open up and to let go, to let go of those little protections. We hold on to our pain and our suffering and things like that for protection. And it's a very confusing way to protect yourself, to hold on to all those things versus trust that they're in your spiritual growth, or trust that they're happening for you instead of to you.
Yeah.
So with your experience, Ginny, how a transformation happens in general, and maybe you can start talking a little bit about your own transformation. How did it happen to you? If it's something that is progressive, or is something that it might happen all of a sudden. Can you talk us a little bit about this?
Yeah, I was at a point in my path where I felt like I was really off. But I had it all. I had everything that you would want on paper. I had a wonderful fiance. I had, a thriving career. I had money in the bank and, people around me who loved me, but I couldn't seem to receive any of that. I couldn't receive that abundance. I couldn't receive my partner's love. Like, there was all this block in my way, and I knew that there was something in me that needed to wake up. And so I went on a trip rafting down the Grand Canyon. And I have trauma from a previous water experience where I almost died in the water. And I said, this will help me wake up to be in this really crazy experience for 20 days, right? So I get on the river, and of course it's very, very traumatic. But I was still feeling up against that wall of myself. And we were hiking up on the rim of the Grand Canyon, and you can see kind of the river below. And I slipped, and I go sliding off the side of the cliff, and no one could really get to me. And I just saw this opening where God was giving me a choice. And in that moment, it was the choice to live or die. I could let go and experience a wake up on the other side, or I could fight to get myself up on the cliff and choose to live. And when I did that, I fought and got myself up to back to a safe place on the rock. And we kept hiking. And it was the wake up call that I needed. And after that, I recognized there were so many things in my way, personas, the identity of being a caretaker, where I'd put other people in front of me. There was parts of me in there that truly needed to transform and be seen and to be cared for by me. So I basically blew up my life. I broke off, my engagement. I quit my career, and I went deep, deep into myself, and just dissolved, kind of like the butterfly, or the caterpillar when it goes in the cocoon. It doesn't know why it's doing that. Everyone in my life told me I was insane. Like, especially for ending my relationship and letting go of this thriving career and all this stuff. I mean, I was looked at like I was crazy. And I knew it was something I had to do, because as rich, right, as I was, and having all these things, that none of them were getting inside my heart. and I knew what it was. And so, yeah, for years, that was my path. I kind of went into that cocoon and I dissolved. And transformation is doing something without an end goal in sight. The caterpillar does not go into a cocoon knowing it's going to be something beautiful that can fly around. It has no clue. It just knows it has to do it for its evolution. And it dissolves. It doesn't know its eye from its elbow, right? Like in there, it becomes nothing, and then it becomes something. And so that was my process. And the emergence of that, and through that process, I found a new path for myself, which was to help people do the same. So I call in clients and work with people who are in a process of either being at the block and they don't know what the block is, or kind of dissolving and looking to emerge as something else, but they don't know what that is yet. Yeah, so it's been pretty profound to hold space for people who are going through that process. But that's, in a nutshell, a good 7 years of my life and what that looks like for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful.
So yeah, beautiful story. I mean, there's something there, that you said that there was an awareness always in you, no? And there's always an awareness, and now probably that you look back on your time, your life, you see that, that was always there, like that message, no? That there's sometimes we, don't look at the message. Like, I think everybody has it. Every single person has the message, or however you call it, and for whatever reason, some people can, like you were like, okay, I have to dissolve, and I have to move, and into that for me, when, since I was little, I always hear not the message, but it was always like seeing that there's something else, and talking with everybody. I mean, all my friends, people said, when you are like, it kind of hits you when you are like teenager, like really like intensely. But when you are little, when you 5, 6 years old, like looking at the stars. I think, Yolanda, you have that too, that we look at the stars and like when it's gonna come, the spaceship or whatever to come and get us from here, because this is not this is funny, because this is not what I signed up. Like when I'm 5 years old, like, no, can you take me back to the stars? And that kind of like, there's that, that there's something more, no? And then, life took me. I came to United States, developing this spiritual, meeting a lot of people like me, we're like, oh, we're kind of the same tribe, no? And listening to that, to that message, to that from your soul. I think is like, there's a moment. I mean, probably there's many moments that your soul comes, and this soul is not like, oh, that's what we were talking the other day about, feeling like, in Spanish you say, estoy desanimada. We talk about it without soul, and it means that is not that you're kind of like, you don't have energy, but you don't feel happy, you're not like, ugh. So much of like, this spiritual bypassing, no? It's about being happy, like, seeing the best of you, ta 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 ta, and it's like we are all that. We are unhappy and so on. And for me, this, talking with and listening a lot of people in the awakening process of their soul, that's what I will call it, soul breaking through, boom, boom, boom. And there's all these, not being themselves, not being that image anymore, not being this. Isn't like maybe the earth, I mean, this pandemic brought the soul of the earth here, kind of like the forefront, like,
Mhm.
because there was a lot of sadness and a lot of like reconnection and going deep into relationship, into yourself. This, so it's kind of like there's this dichotomy of like the the outside, the relationships, and cutting the relationship, and being inside and looking the relationship, and the world is suffering. I don't know what I want to go with this, but there's something here about relationships and about disintegrating, about and about the soul emerging, the soul coming, and breaking this idea of it's so beautiful, you know what I mean? The
Mhm.
soul comes and it's gonna be all happy, everybody, and it doesn't have to be like all horrible sad, but it kind of like, I don't know why I don't know, I know why hard situations brings us down, brings us to the place, ¿verdad? It's not like the joy, but it's like the going deep into really. So yeah, I don't know what, I just wanted to share that kind of thought.
It's the holy instant. It's that snap of the fingers where in a holy instant you feel the presence of everything, and spiritual bypassing. I think that's such a relative thing that we all go through, of just kind of focus on only what's positive. But if your beliefs are focused in the negative, you can't really manifest what you want. And the heart will tell you in those moments where it opens, the heart will tell you where it needs support and where you need to cleanse and purify so that you can have the life that you want to live, And like, I believe like, God never gives up on us, ever. Like, there's a gentle knock when there's an opportunity or a portal opening for your growth. And there's like just this little tap, tap, tap. Are you ready? And we can say yes and we say no. And sometimes we say yes and then no. I don't want any more of this. And that's the beauty of our choice. Like, there is no judgment, in saying like, you should be over this by now, or you should be, growing past a certain point. It's all happening in perfect timing. It's hard for us to see sometimes, though.
Totally.
And this is what I was kind of like getting a little bit before, in terms of trusting and allowing the higher energy, whatever you want to call it. I don't have a name actually for this, this force that is life and it brings life, right? I want to call it this way. In this point of manifesting and being guided, led at the service of this, right? So this for me sometimes is where I find the tension right there, right? Because who is manifesting anyway, right? It is who I think I am. It is what I am. Or is, like, how can I be fully at service of, be the vehicle of this, I don't have a name for it, and at the same time being present enough to really see at manifestation, because at the end I see manifestation as a change within. It doesn't have to do with what is out there, it doesn't have to do it precisely only with material things or the life we want to live. I think it is a shift within more than anything.
Yep. In the Hermetic principles, they talk about exactly that all truths are but half truths, which is a little maddening. But if you really want to know the truth of yourself or of the universe, or of how this place works, you have to look at the extremes and see them as equals. And like what you were just talking to, Yolanda, sounded to me like predestination. like who is manifesting really, right? Like if our end goal is to merge back into at oneness, right? That's a path already laid out, right? So it's like there's predestination. And the other half of that is choice or free will. And so, can we control the cause? We're always kind of reacting to the cause. Like someone hits my car, I react to that, right? That was a predestined experience, a crash, right? But my reaction to that is where my free will comes into play. So it's all truths are but half truths. You find their extreme and you find peace in where they connect.
Yeah,
right?
and I don't believe in predestination. Believe me. I mean, it's actually the opposite. It's like, how can I move aside as the person as I think I am?
Mhm.
The ego, want to say, or my identity or my personality, and allow something even greater that is going to manifest thing that I am not into it. Like it is like, how can I be this vehicle? Actually, so, and that is the tension that I feel, that my mind that wants to manifest the perfect relationship, or it wants to manifest the perfect life, as you were saying before, you have the perfect life, right? That those are the sort of manifestation that when we are in the loop, we tend to go there, right? That is like the law of attraction, and it is that, oh yeah, I'm going to leave myself be led by the divine just because I want this, So it is, I say that constant check-in with who I am, what I am, right? And who manifests, what manifests.
Yep. Yep, and letting that carry you, right? Like if we want the divine to lead us, we have to be completely surrendered to trust.
Yeah.
Completely
100%.
surrendered. And
Otherwise,
blank slate, right? Like we can't carry any sort of belief system or judgment about where we're going or how it should look. Of just being completely surrendered to whatever path shows up and trusting, that this was a gift from the divine.
Yeah, and it's like, for example, for people that listen to this, to be clear, what I'm getting is, how I see it is that, for example, I want a better job, or I want a job or whatever, and it's like, I want a job, but it's like, I want this. Some people are like that in this kind of thing, like have the list of how they want it and they see it very good. And there's like a vision boards and whatever. And for me, I like much more. I mean, I try like that, but I resonate more with kind of like, I want a job and I leave it to you because I trust that it's going to happen, whatever it has to happen. And whatever is happening, whatever job comes to my way, like I look for a job and I find it. And I know that is part of like a bigger plan, no, a bigger plan, a bigger thing, that is not like, because in every single thing that you're going to do, everything that I'm going to do, I'm going to grow. Maybe it's not going to be the best one, but it's not going to be the best one about what? No best money.
From who?
Exactly.
Who has that determination? Who determines?
What I'm learning here is, I'm learning about compassion. I'm learning about humility. I'm learning about growth. I'm learning about intellect, whatever. When we take our, those identifications, again, here comes the identifications, the labels, like the societies, this is good, this is bad, But when you just like, okay, this is, I want something else, God, I'm ready, open me, whatever it comes in my way, I know, that it will be if it feels right in my heart. If it feels right in my heart, obviously, because something else that is like, no, it's not about being like blind and use discern, but kind of like, move more into this trust of, there's something always there for you. There's always something there for you, more than you think. That's what I love. There's something more than you think. And with that sense, you know, you kind of like move to the world, you know, it's like there's abundance everywhere, you know,
For sure.
of everything, you know, no, like emotions, money or whatever, you know, is there's always, and maybe it's like not what you need to experience in that moment. So, you know,
Yeah.
chill, you know, that's what I said to myself. Those kind of, that's what it goes to my mind, you know.
Well, lack is denial of what we have.
Yeah.
You know, like if I had a whole week of clients cancel, you know, I would be so abundant in time.
Yeah.
I could be abundant in rest.
Already.
I could be abundant in study. I could be
Yeah.
abundant in connection with friends or good food or whatever. Like lack is, when we feel in lack, it's because we're comparing. And I think if you compare one thing about another person to yourself, you have to compare the whole, which means you have to really sit down and know them, you know, and to know their struggle, to know their life, because it's jading your perception of your own like fullness and completeness.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because that is exactly what I was saying about, at the end, for me, manifestation is a shift within, right? It is not the lack of clients, it is the abundance. That is a shift within that said, oh, I am abandoning time, you know, now I have time for me, you know. So for me, at the end, I'm reaching these days, you know, I will change again. But this day is like, okay, at the end, manifestation has to do with looking from another angle sometimes, you know, instead of naming the things in the positive. What I'm saying is like, what is the abundance in here? You know, it is not, it's what you were saying. That repeat what you said before. The lack is the, what do you said? The
Lack
lack,
is denial of your own
denial
abundance.
Of
of
your
your
own.
own abundance. I think that is awesome. I think that is exactly the point. Exactly the point.
Yeah. Yes. I like it a lot. And it'd be nice if like we have that awareness, you know what I mean? That's an amazing change of view,
Yeah.
the world, you know.
For sure.
If we
We're
have
all
that.
equal. Mhm.
Yeah. I wanted to give this to my son, you know. Like this kind of like, you know, you have when you feel like you don't have, I mean, he doesn't feel that way, but in a way, I'm trying to like get him out of this, you know, he has everything at the tip of his hand, like everything, 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 everything. And I'm like, and then it's like when you have everything like that, he's a kid, no, 11 years old. When you're a kid, you think that is easy, that everything is, yeah, is easy, but there's all, it's not like that, you know. I mean, it's just, how can, because the more that you have, in a way, in a kid, that's what I noticed. When I was a little kid, one toy, it was plenty, two toys, you know, I was happy with the toys, you know, and now there's like now there's like virtual toys. So then every time there's another one, no, and then happiness, you know, that creates the for people, for kids, when they see that they have everything they want, and they say, and they have, they, you know, they manifest. Like I said to my son, man, you're gonna be, I don't know, like or a lawyer, or a really good you know, or a millionaire or something, because you have you like, I want this, 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 and then boom, and then he has it. And then it's like, I think that there's missing here the other idea, the other realities, that is not, I want this, I have it, you know. This is not about manifesting, you know. How can I bring this awareness to the kid about lack is a denial in a different way? Because a kid is going to be, I don't lack about anything, but it feels lack when somebody has everything and wants more. There's like an wanted to satisfy themselves from more and more and more and more, because it feels to me that there's a lack there. It's like abundance is just like, that's it, you know. I'm here. I don't need anything really because I have everything that I want for being happy. That's what I want to bring to my son. And he's like, you have everything. You don't need these things, How to bring that to this generation of like everything in the hand.
Yeah.
They have everything. Amazon right here. Yeah, well, okay. Close the computer, close it. We had this conversation before, Yolanda and I. Yolanda is a mom, and she knows this, and it's like Cristina is the battle. We lose the battle, or I say that. I lost it. But oh man, I don't know.
Well, to me, it's about to what end, right?
Mhm.
Like if I want a brand new red car, to what end? I
Mhm.
might like that it's shiny. I might like the way it looks or the way my hair feels when I drive down the interstate or whatever. But why do I really want it?
Mhm.
And when I know that why, then I can use what I already have of it. Like if it's like, it'll give me freedom to travel. What I'm chasing is freedom.
Yes.
So where am I free? I'm free in my thinking. I'm free in my day. I'm free in my choices. I'm free to choose what I want to eat. I'm free over and over and over and over and over again, right? And so then I can access that freedom anywhere because it's within me, right? And so when he's like, I want the new video game, it's like, okay, to what end,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, because all my friends have it and I want to play with them.
Yeah.
Connection, right?
Oh,
Connection. It's
yeah.
like, okay, invite your friends over to play, right? Like let's get everybody on scooters and go downtown or, find ways to connect.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the game.
Yeah.
Where we feel so unfulfilled in that is that we think it's going to be the car is going to give me freedom.
Yeah.
No, that permeates that lack. The freedom isn't here. And the car may help me feel more free, and I can have that if it aligns, but really that freedom is here,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Absolutely. And that's the eternal conversation of like, my friends have it like exactly that. And and he knows is that impulse of needed to have, I need to have it in order to be happy. And I'm like, but when you have it, it lasts the happiness for 5 minutes or maybe 2 days, but then you've been like for 2 months for the same thing. So just be aware that this is not, and of course he's not going to be aware very much, but I'm like, bring that conversation again. Is look how long it took you to get. You spent 3 months. You want the Oculus for 3 months. 3 months. You have the Oculus, and now what? For a month, you're excited, and that's it. Noted, noted. So it's just to bring, but it's good to like what you said about. I like that bringing also to the awareness of like that is all inside you. For what ends. What do you want to and what else, and going a little bit deeper because he can. No, he's 11 now. He can go a little bit deeper in himself.
for sure.
Yeah.
And that'll help him harness, like, to think about it on that level too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
you know and that will create an empathy point or a touch point into the emotional vibration of what that thing represents.
Totally. That's good.
Yeah, and that you mentioned that if we all were more aware of how to get to the root, right, of the emotion, because the emotion is not I want more, the emotion is something that goes a little bit deeper, that would be like a good way to break the current system, right? In terms of even cracking even more towards a more compassionate, empathetic, and free world, right? And that, I think that is that because I also feel, going back a little bit to the COVID-19, is like, it's our time. That is the time. It's our time to take the responsibility and to remember who we are, to remember that we all we always had from the very beginning the power. We just forgot that we became very complacent, I think, and that's a privilege. So, it is like, okay, so it's time. It's time
Mm,
to do that. If we start with a little step, like you just said, like to what ends, I think that is a radical statement in terms of, in a way that can change your life, definitely.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
Beautiful.
imagine that as a collective, that will be amazing.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, there's nothing more bonding than the pain we feel, right? Like when we can, and this to shift all together, the whole globe gets to shift together.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just beautiful.
yeah, and bring it back to the beginning also about what ends and my friends and all that, and what is this pandemic make us, ¿verdad? Going to ourselves and really, when there's this friction of duality, like extremist that is happening, to
Mhm.
bring this question, what ends, what is here and calling. I mean, why, what this is satisfying in you, like I will say to my friends, like looking about all this, researching about, because of this, proving that this is bad and this person is a liar or whatever, and it's just like, and they have all this, and what is this serving? What is this serving you? What is this serving our relationship? you know is
Yes.
this like, is it bringing connection? Are you bringing connection, or you're moving into separation? If you move into separation, why is, and that's what is, you don't leave the other person, no, you by, because, yeah, because like you said, it's true, this is showing us that what happens in China, that person affects everybody. So what is happening to my friends, how I see them, probably they see me the same, in their eyes I'm like the cuckoo one. What it happened, what it happened to them,
Probably. It's
totally.
more than sure.
But it's like, not like, that what ends, and not leaving the person, not living like you guys are poor, because what is happening to you is happening to me, is happening me.
Right.
So this is thing. I think this is what you know, what this pandemic is calling. I like it.
For sure. Like we heal that. We heal
Imagine.
our collective soul, If we
Yes.
feel
Ooh.
separation, that's it.
Mm.
And like when I think about it, I like to put it in the context of the body, right? Like my liver doesn't judge the heart for its function, right? Like they have very different function. One filters, one pumps. They're
Yeah.
completely opposite,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But they live in harmony together,
Mm-hmm.
work together to make this body work, to give me a way to manifest through it.
Yeah.
And without judgment, we can see that even people who, you know, seem like they're on the opposite side of the spectrum, they're just operating in a different organ, right?
Organ.
They have a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like it because it's taking that heaviness,
Mhm.
the judgment really out of the situation, for me, that kind of like, there is a purpose, and I love that analogy or metaphor of of the body. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
So, Ginny, you do this, well, not exactly this kind of talk, definitely, but you
maybe.
have a podcast, right? And a YouTube channel that you have a weekly or every Friday or every first
Monthly,
Friday? I don't know.
first Friday. Yep, every month. Hmm.
Every month. And talk to us a little bit about what you bring. What is the intention, maybe, of these talks?
Mhm.
It really was inspired by Corona. Like in the beginning, I felt so much fear in the collective, that I wanted to offer an outlet to anyone interested to find out what it was about, and also how to kind of work with the energies more neutrally that were showing up last year. And so last year's program was really focused on the issues that were coming up, whether it was the race wars in America to the different political extremes. We touched on the major events psychically and astrologically to kind of help ground their purpose. And now, since the U.S. is a little bit more calm, we're focused on spiritual topics. So our most recent episode, we focused on manifestation, creation, and the law of attraction. So we try to demystify things and these principles, and also to kind of cast out any myth around them and help people to walk away with tools they can use.
Nice.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And besides that, you also have your own practice, right?
Yes.
So, where people can find you?
So
How to look for you on Google?
just send out a dove or a prayer, and I'll find you. No.
Yeah, cosmic Wi-Fi.
Hey, there we go. Astral Google. You can drop in Rev, which stands for Reverend, REV, Ginny, which is my first name, and Brown, which is my last name. That's my web address. And I work with individuals, families, couples, animals, businesses. Everything has energy. And I really like working with people in an ongoing way where we're kind of getting you into that cocoon, comfortable in the transformation, and then facing any challenges that are ahead in any topic that's relevant: relationships, career, personal growth.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
it has been an absolutely pleasure. I have one of my best conversations so far this week. So thank you. No, really, thank you so much. It's been grounding.
Oh, so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much love to you both. It was a genuine pleasure to join you all this morning.
Yeah, it was great to get to know you more, and thank you for sharing all this beautiful wisdom and your presence with us. It's been,
Thank you.
yeah, like Yolanda said, I feel grounded in my heart. It's just very nice to be with you. Thank you, Ginny.